The night the desert trembled ***. The Mojave was never silent, winds whispered, sands shifted, coyotes cried into distant nothingness, but tonight, John Mercer felt something different humming beneath the ground. A vibration. A pulse. Like the earth itself was holding its breath. He stood beside his dusty pickup on a remote dirt road, staring at a crater that hadn't existed yesterday. Smoke drifted upward in slow curls. The metallic scent in the air stung his nose, and his heart drummed with a primal warning. Then he heard it. A low, desperate voice echoing from inside the crater. "Human, please, help me." John swallowed hard. The voice was huge, resonant, yet cracking with pain. A storm was coming. Not the kind made of wind and rain, but the kind that changed the fate of worlds. John Mercer descended into the crater with cautious steps, each footfall echoing across cold stone. The smoke parted like a curtain, and then he froze. She lay half buried beneath twisted chrome-like metal, her enormous form curled in pain. A giantess. Easily 25 feet tall. Her skin shimmered like starlight trapped in a silver-blue hue. Her white hair fell like glowing strands of silk over the cracked desert floor. Her eyes, brilliant, violet, enormous, opened and fixed on him. "Don't run," she whispered, voice trembling. "Please. I can't move." John's breath caught, but something about her tone, fear, vulnerability, anchored his feet. "I'm not gonna run," he said, raising his hands gently. "Name's John." What happened to you?" "My name is Selah Verowan," she breathed. "I am a protector of my people. My ship crashed. I was trapped, and my strength, my size, means nothing when the wreckage pins me." He stepped closer. The alien metal had folded onto her leg like giant clamps. Sparks still danced across broken circuits. Her giant chest rose and fell with difficult breaths. "How heavy is this?" John asked. "Far too heavy for you," Selah whispered. "But my body can do more than you think. Just get me out of here." Her plea stabbed something in his chest. John examined the wreckage closely. His father had been a mechanic, he'd grown up breaking down half-dead engines. Wires were wires. Metal was metal. Maybe alien ones just had more attitude. He found a piece that looked like a stabilizing lock and yanked on it. It didn't budge. He grit his teeth, planting his boots deeper and pulling harder. Sparks showered his arms. The heat scorched his palms. "John," Selah gasped. "You will burn yourself." "I'll live," he grunted. With a crack, the lock tore free. Part of the clamp loosened. Selah inhaled sharply. "Again, please." He moved to the next component, muscles trembling as he pried it loose. The air vibrated with the energy discharging from the fractured ship. Sweat rolled down his face. Dust clung to his skin. Piece by piece, he worked. Piece by piece, her body grew freer. Finally, after a final wrench that nearly dislocated his shoulder, the metallic restraint split apart. Selah exhaled in a shudder that shook the crater. She pushed herself up slightly, wincing. "You freed me," she whispered, tears glimmering in her huge eyes. A small human, with a vast heart. John smiled despite his exhaustion. "Let's get you standing." But the wind suddenly shifted, carrying a distant rumble. Selah's eyes widened in horror. "No," she whispered. "They found me." A low-frequency thrum shook the desert as John stared upward. Over the crater ridge, 6 dark silhouettes descended, sleek, angular crafts with glowing red underbellies. "Who are they?" John asked, heart pounding. Selah struggled upright, bracing herself against a boulder half her size. "They are the Graxian hunters. They capture my kind, giant protectors, and use our bodies as weapons." Her voice cracked. "If they take me, they will tear apart everything I swore to defend." John felt fear rise like fire in his throat. "Then we're not letting them take you." Selah turned, shocked. "You would stay? Against them? You needed help. You asked. That's enough for me." For a moment, something warm flickered in her massive violet eyes. The hunter's ships landed with ground-shaking force. Metallic legs unfolded. Doors hissed open. Figures emerged tall, armored, with jagged helmets and plasma spears. Their leader raised a hand. "Giantess Pleading," he growled, voice metallic. "You belong to the Graxian Dominion now." Sayla stepped in front of John protectively. "Run," she warned him softly. "I will not let them harm you." John stepped out beside her, gripping a twisted metal rod he'd pulled from the wreckage. "Not happening." The Graxian leader laughed. "A human? Pathetic." He lunged. Sayla moved faster than John expected. Even injured, she snatched the hunter mid-strike and slammed him into the sand. But another fired a plasma bolt that struck her side. She roared in pain, staggering. John charged the shooter. In one swift motion, he jammed the metal rod into the exposed circuitry on the hunter's suit. Sparks exploded. The hunter convulsed and collapsed. Sayla breathed hard. "John, stay behind me." "No chance," he shot back. "We're in this together." 3 hunters advanced at once. Sayla swung her arm in a wide arc, knocking 2 aside like ragdolls. The third leapt onto her shoulder, stabbing at her neck. John scrambled up a slanted piece of wreckage and jumped, tackling the hunter off her giant body. They rolled across the sand. The alien pinned him, spear raised. John grabbed a fistful of sand and flung it into the creature's visor. The alien recoiled. A shadow fell over them. Sayla's hand descended, massive and trembling, and closed around the hunter. With a fierce twist, she threw him into a boulder, ending the fight. Silence fell. Dust drifted. The other hunters crawled toward their ships, retreating. When the last craft lifted away, Sayla collapsed to one knee, clutching her wounded side. John rushed to her. "Sayla! Hey, stay with me." She looked down at him, small, battered, defiant, and a soft smile touched her lips. "You saved me," she whispered. "No, we saved each other." John placed a hand on her enormous, warm fingers. "What now?" Sayla gazed toward the horizon where dawn began bleeding into the sky. "Now," she said quietly, "I rise again. And you, John Mercer, you will not face the coming storm alone." Her giant silhouette stood tall against the rising sun, no longer trapped, no longer hunted, but free. And beside her, a single human who dared to fight for a giantess who believed in him. Together, they walked out of the crater toward a future neither had expected, but both were ready to face.